everybody. My name is Zandy Chan, and I'm an RCIC. If you're new to my channel, welcome. What I do in this watch list is I review a spreadsheet model I created first a couple years ago to help other immigration practitioners have a standard reporting tool if you have a client that's trying to immigrate to Canada through express entry, through one of the three streams of express entry, and the various provincial programs. What I try to do is have one single set of data entry for all those programs. So for me, for my own practice, I realized that it could be a very useful tool. So again, while this particular stream is meant for other immigration practitioners, so before you click away, if you're looking to immigrate to Canada, what I've just recently done is I signed up to be an affiliate, and I'm still in the middle of setting up my websites and everything. Actually, it's almost April 2022. What I've done is I've just recently set up an affiliate program with an immigration lawyer and their company with Mark Holthe, and his company is called the Canadian Immigration Institute. And what he does is he has periodic courses for various programs. So I'm just scrolling through his website, and even when I was studying, I found that he had one unique ability to connect all the dots, even for somebody who should be who's just going through the learning process. And he's got a great YouTube channel as well. That if you ever want to jump on and watch one of his Q&As, they're really good. He's actually incredibly patient. But these are the various courses that he runs periodically. They're really economical. So if you are immigrating to Canada, and if you'd rather do it yourself, go find out which program suits your needs, I can highly recommend that you look into taking one of his courses. So it's very late March of 2022, now almost April, like I said. But these are some of the upcoming programs. And here's Mark Holthe himself. So anyways, I just became an affiliate. So I have a link in the description of this video. So again, this video is meant for other practitioners, but if you're looking to learn how to do it yourself, I highly recommend you approaching this company. Okay, so now I'll go back to what I want to do in this video. So again, I've built a spreadsheet model, and from the spreadsheet model, I've got different reports for different streams. So in this particular stream, I'm going to talk about the Ontario Human Capital Priority Stream. And not only that, I'm going to go over the ONIP tech draws too. Now, what I'll do is, and I think this seems to be the best approach for me, not only me, but the video recording software I use, because it's a little finicky. I try to keep as few, jumps between different computer applications as few as possible. It seems to be, it seems to get a little finicky sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll go over the requirements of this stream, and and then also talk about the tech draws, because the tech draws are a subset based on certain NOC codes that you see here, experience in these NOC codes. And then what I'll do is then I'll show you how it's built into the Excel spreadsheet model, and how with one set of data entry you key in your client's age, work experience, education, and language scoring, and it does all these calculations for your federal skilled worker, express entry, and then these Ontario streams, as well as so far I've got BC and Manitoba Incorporated. This is the third version of the file, actually. So I'll eventually have almost basically the rest of Canada built into one spreadsheet model where, again, you as a practitioner can help have a constant set of reports to give to your client. All right, so for again, first I'll go over the website, then I'll go over the spreadsheet itself, and then lastly I've got a quick slide deck just to summarize everything. All right, so here is the website that I'm getting all my calculations from, or not getting all my calculations from, but defining what the requirements are and what the calculation requirements are. So you see the URL. So I'll just scroll down. Okay, so here's the steps to apply. I don't really somebody asked me if I do like a PDF fill-in from the spreadsheet. No, I don't do that. I'm actually using the spreadsheet model to validate some other calculations. So maybe down the road, but that's quite a different animal. Okay, so first thing is the work experience. The human capital priority stream looks at your work experience for federal skilled worker and the Canadian experience class. Now, it's a little different because the federal skilled worker program, it looks like work experience, you calculate the points for the last 10 years. But in the Ontario calculation, it looks for your work experience within the last 5 years. So there's a slight change to that criteria, and I'll show you how I've differentiated that. Okay, the alternative for to calculate your work experience is the Canadian experience class, and I believe this is still 1 year of cumulative within the last 3 years. Okay. And of course, it's in Canada. Obtained within the last 3 years, while maintaining legal status in Canada. For this particular calculation, I found language in another Ontario stream that specifically filtered out work experience while your applicant is a student. So that's obviously your student is in Canada on a study permit. So those hours aren't counted. In this particular case, I didn't find the same language, so I'm making the presumption that working while a student will count. So that's a little different. I could be wrong, but and I posted the same question online, and somebody had confirmed me. Yeah, that is indeed the case. We could both be wrong. The person responded was an RCSC, so we could both be wrong, but that's the calculation. That's the assumption that I'm making. Okay, so I'm scrolling down, and the other difference is down here. Part-time work experience. In Ontario, the part-time work experience is only counted if it's greater than or equal to 15 hours per week. The language I see in federal skilled worker is, and I don't have the web page up, unfortunately. It did say specifically, and I guess they put in the language just to make sure that there's no confusion. The federal skilled worker web page specifically said greater than, or it doesn't matter. It could be less than 15 hours per week or greater than 15 hours per week. There was a bit of a gap in when I created these videos, because in a previous video for Ontario, it was for French, I believe, I specifically said that this is one criteria I was hesitant to build into the model. Well, I had a bit of a reconsideration, and I decided, you know what, why not? I'll just put it in. So this filtering for 15 hours a week is now built in to the spreadsheet model for the Ontario calculation, not the federal skilled worker calculation for continuous work. Okay, so scrolling down, now education. Now this is built in this part for the prompt for the education of the applicant. I'm using the same criteria as express entry. Complete a 3-year university degree, I think is one of the options. So I don't. You'll see in the spreadsheet model, I just display what was keyed in, and I don't have any kind of alert saying, "Oh, this is not qualified" or "this is qualified." I just have a label that says what the requirements are and then what the actual data entry value is. Okay, so far I look at the work experience, the education. I hope I didn't scroll too fast for you there. Um, the language score, yeah, the language score is built into the model from day one. You need a CLB 7. Okay, and one of the four tests. I think one of the things that you'll like about this model is that I take the scoring from any one of these four tests, and I built it in through a set of lookups, what the equivalent CLB is. So that I think that does save a lot of time. Okay, settlement funds. I don't have a prompt for that. Although I think maybe when I wrap everything up towards the end, I might include that actually. Just to have an indication of what the requirement settlement funds are uh, for the applicant's accompanying family. So yeah, so right now I don't have the settlement funds built into the model. Intention to live in Ontario, because this model is built as an analysis tool. I don't actually have any kind of prompt of which province are you intending to live in, because since I'm building this model for right across Canada, I wanted to leave that open to have as many options for you to present to a client. Okay, legal status. I don't have a prompt for that. So a federal skilled worker, you must score at least 67. I covered this actually long time ago, but the model has, like I said, the federal skilled worker calculation in a report, along with federal skilled trade, Canadian experience class, and express entry. And I'll just point out where that is. Okay, so and I've hit the bottom of this page. So, and again, just to summarize, I look at the work experience, two calculations, one for federal skilled worker, one for Canadian experience class. I have a prompt in the model for the education, the language, and the language scoring. I don't look at settlement funds and the intention to live in Ontario, legal status, and the 67 points, which is already built in. Okay, so what I'll do now is show you the tech draws. And what the tech draws is a subset of the express entry human capital priorities. And what they're looking for in Ontario is work experience. If you receive the notification of interest, they're looking for people with experience with these knock codes. So what I've done in the model is I've incorporated the two and just have a grid to show these in cumulative form, and actually cumulative and then continuous actually, attempted continuous. What the work experience of your applicant is based on these knock codes. Okay, and just to mention something, this is the second time I've modified a model based on these knock codes. My first version was 2 years ago. This list had changed. It's much shorter now. So I decided to make the report slightly different so it's modifiable. Uh, it's modifiable, so you can add different knock codes or remove them from the report as you see fit. And it's a little different from what I've done in the past, but I'll show you right now what I mean. Okay, so I'll just hop over to the Excel file now. Okay, so here's the Excel file. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention. This particular stream is one of the streams that you don't need a job offer. But you're an immigration practitioner already, so you could obviously it's obviously right, they're right up front about it. But okay, so here's the Excel file, and I'll just hop over to here. Um, if you're new to my channel, I'll just go over it really quickly. The yellow tabs indicate where the data entry is. So again, I've got one central point, or one set of points, where if it's a yellow cell, that's where you key in some information. You may see a little drop down next to the cell, and automatically apply a data validation. So I've just happened to be here. So for your scoring for language, if for CRS, it's a combination of your marital status and which language test it is. How this is calculated is in a gray cell, and you'll see gray cells all over the place. All these values are driven by formulas. So this is the CRS scoring based on the first language test, the spousal, the marital status, and the actual score. Here's the calculation. Okay, I try to keep most of the lookup data in one spot, but in this particular case, because the formulas are getting so long, obviously, I put the lookup data over just on the bottom here. So there's the CLB, the CLB level, and the scoring, and then the language scoring. So it's a different combination of different lookup columns. I didn't mention it in this video. I just realized my presumption is that you do need, since I'm giving you the source code, you do need at least an intermediate level of Excel knowledge for, I would say, 99% of it. The additional 1% is well, let me just jump down there. So again, the yellow cells are for data entry. So here's a language scoring. And again, you can, because you have this file, you can move this however you want. There's the birth date, which calculates also obviously the scoring. Now below here, I've got the education. Again, this is the different categories based on the categories for express entry. The location, which I have to ask because you may get points for individual P&P. And then you have provincial specific questions, because as I'm moving more and more provinces streams in, you'll see more of these questions, and this is for scoring, obviously, for that particular province. Oh, okay. So down here is the primary occupation. You see a drop down here, and I've imported all the 4-digit knock codes. Just the other day, coincidentally, I started looking at the 5-digit knock codes. I'm waiting for something more. I found a cross-reference between the 4-digit and the 5-digit. I don't know if I'll come back to modify this to 5 digits, but I'm more inclined to do something else with it, actually. Okay. So when I said 99% of the logic here are formula driven, and you need an intermediate level of knowledge, there's a button here, and actually this button used to be buried in a little obscure place. Well, I've copied that button. It runs, and what the button does, it runs a particular piece of logic. So if you right click it, assign macro, it'll take you to what the logic is. So this is where you will need somebody, if you're not familiar with VBA coding, you'll need to maybe find somebody to help you out a little bit. But what the purpose of this piece of coding is that for continuous work, and actually it just happened to be hitting the work grid now. Say you have a candidate with several many rows of data for work. Each row represents the start and an end date with a particular employer. For continuous work, well, I realized, well, to have the most accurate report, if you have somebody that's working the same knock code with two different employers, what I'm trying to do is show the end date of your first job, of that person's first job, and then look at the start date of the subsequent job. If it's the same knock code, what I do is look at see if there's a gap or not. If there's no gap, I combine it into one calculation, and that's the continuous work. And this was also the cause of my delay, because in Ontario, I've now filtered out for the fact that if it's below 15 hours a week of work for that particular role, I don't include it, but I am including it in the federal calculation. Okay, so that's something I just put in, and I retrofitted the French immigration stream for the Ontario ONIP, because it had this same calculation as this one. Okay, so anyways, that was kind of long-winded, but that's the I guess the 1%. If you feel the need to modify the coding, you should be comfortable with reading VBA code. So that button drives this code. I probably won't get into describing the code in detail. And actually, I just realized I didn't show the window. That's one of the problems with this this video recording software. I have to manually change the screen. So again, my apologies, but here's the coding for the button. And a little difficult to explain while still trying to keep this video short. So again, if you do have the need to change this, do try to find some technical help there. Okay, so let me just go back to the tab. Okay. So my apologies, that got a little disjointed. This is the grid again for the work experience. Start date, end date. The knock code is a drop down, very similar to the primary drop down for the primary occupation here. The same data source. Number of hours worked per week. Again, this is critical for the continuous work calculation, because for Ontario, I'm filtering it out. I'm filtering out for greater than or equal to 15 hours a week. Oh, that's odd. Let me just save this. And again, there's a link to this file right inside the description, so you can go ahead and play around with it. Okay, so the start date, end date, knock code, hours worked per week. If the work was under a valid work permit, this is what I use to differentiate whether the person, whether this role of work was during a study permit, because obviously for the Canadian experience class, that's not allowed. And then with self-employment, I believe self-employment is valid for federal skilled trade, federal skilled worker, but not for Canadian experience class. Off the top of my head, it's been a while since I did the test. Okay, and the province and the country. So over here are the gray cells. This is the duration. Now, I've covered this in other videos, but really quickly, I've got different calculations for the counting of the hours based on different duration. So for example, this row of work is from 2012 to 2018. But over here, you can see that I'm only counting a certain number of hours if it's within the last 10 years, 5 years, and then 3 years, and then 2 years. Once I've included Alberta, there's going to be a couple more columns, because their time periods are a little different. I think it's 18 months and 13 months. I haven't looked at Ontario for a while. Sorry, Alberta for a while. Okay, so that's a data entry for the work. And Ontario specific questions. Oh, well, this is where I'm prompting for the salary. Some of the streams have points for the salary. Okay, so this is the data entry. Over here, what I've done is, again, each column is for the number of hours of work. There's no filtering there. That's just based on the start date, end date, and the number of hours for that duration. It's down here where I have additional filters. So it looks a little ugly, but that's because each column is I'm calculating over here for 2 years, then over here for 3 years, and then 5 years, then 10 years. So I may move it around eventually, but that's the reason why I've got a summary column, an L, an N, and an N, and an O, because I want to line up based on the duration I'm calculating. Oh, okay, so that's, and there's another copy of the button. Okay, so let me go over to the report now. So here's the report for the human capital priority stream. Okay, so almost everything's in gray, and this is the first time where I've made an exception to the rule. So I'm showing the primary knock, the knock code, and skill level. So this is just a data entry from the data entry tab, the applicant's education. So what I've done here, because this is just a cell reference back on the data entry tab, to actually calculate the federal skilled worker, you need to click this button. Because again, if it's like 2 rows, that was the only way I could figure out how to count the number of continuous work hours by running basically like a running total, and it's driven by this button, and that's for federal skilled worker. Here's the Canadian experience class, and this is a little more of a familiar formula where I use a sub-MIFS formula for Canadian experience class, where I'm calculating column M is the last 3 years. If it's in Canada, the work experience is the primary knock. If there's a valid, if person's on the valid work permit, and here is the new filter where it's greater than or equal to 15 hours. Okay, so that's the reasoning for those operands. Now here's where it's a little different. I have a grid here, 1 row for each row of the high-tech work draw. And let me just go back to the web page really quick. Let me just go back here. Oh no, see, this is why I don't like this thing, because it just drops it off for some reason. Yeah, it just, oh no, I found it. Oh, that's really odd. Okay, so here's the list of knock codes for the high-tech draw. What I've done is I've brought over that list into the spreadsheet. So that list, that knock list, matches this. And the reason why I have a few extra knock codes in here is that when I first created this model, it would have these additional rows. So what I decided to do is, and this is the first time I've done this, if you wanted to add or drop, if you wanted to add a new knock code that hasn't been previously been listed, you could just change this, and these 3 calculations will automatically adjust to match it. So again, so the idea is if you change this knock code to something else, the values for Canadian for federal skilled worker, Canadian experience, and the total hours will match a work experience for that new knock code that you put in. Now, keep in mind something though, and this is a bit of a flaw. This particular column is just an estimate. I'm using a formula to get the most accurate value is still clicking on this button, which is based on the primary knock. I included this because there's so many knocks that are similar to the high-tech draws that I thought you as a practitioner may find it helpful if you see, like, say you have somebody with a really long work history, and you're not sure how many continuous hours there are, because some of the job descriptions are fairly similar. They're fairly similar between, for example, a software engineer or a computer programmer. So you can use this report again to help your analysis. If you maybe say, okay, this particular role data for work is not a 2174 but a 2147, something like that. But that's obviously something you as a practitioner with a deep understanding of knock codes and their descriptions, you may want to bring forward in your client's application. So again, that's why I did it this way, to make this report a little more flexible. Okay, and then so now below that is the English requirement. Again, the minimum CLB is 7 across the board, and these are just cell references. Again, back to the data entry tab, which is just a CLB. Sorry if I'm losing people with my scrolling, but it's based on the cell reference over here. And this is, again, just a bunch of formulas. Okay, so that's basically what I've done for this particular one on Ontario Stream with the additional filtering for the knock codes and the high-tech draws. Now, you'll see the other streams for Ontario on the same tab. Because I'm adding more and more provinces to this, if you want to see what the other provinces, how they're calculated, you can just click on Unhide, and you can unhide BC and the 2 Manitoba tabs. Under Reports, this is where the other reports are for the CRS scoring. And I'm using the same categories as there's the invitation to apply letter. Last time I saw it was about a year ago. So I'm using the same categories. The federal skilled worker, federal skilled trade, and the Canadian experience class. So that's all here. So again, there's reports. It's all the federal stuff. You have a tab for Ontario. If you click on Unhide, you see the other provinces up to this point in time. I've also put in a change log to indicate what I've just put in. So I do have a link to this file in the description. Do try to get the latest version, and it's all, I'm keeping it on Google Drive. Okay, so now to summarize everything, I'll just go to my slide deck. Okay, we've made the end. Okay, so again, thank you for watching. What I've done in the model is I've using my existing calculations to create a report for the human capital priority stream and the tech draws. The requirements are based on the work experience for a federal skilled worker and Canadian experience class. The federal skilled worker program calculations are a little different because I'm only looking for work experience with the last 5 years. And the other difference is is the part-time calculation, where it has to be greater than or equal to 15 hours per week. Obviously, the work experience, the knock codes are predefined, type 0A or B, but because I'm including the tech draws, filtering it down to the knock codes. This is again current as of late March 2022. Okay, and so because I've combined them. Inside the model, the data entry cells are in yellow. If you're new to my channel and if you're a practitioner, do watch some of my previous videos. So it'll help explain some of the calculations a little more in depth. All the data entry is in yellow. Almost the entire model is almost all calculated by formulas, with the exception of the button to calculate the continuous work for federal skilled worker. Okay, and then this is what I'm talking about. What happens when applicant works at different jobs continuously. So that's where the button comes in. There's the button, and then I'll also cover the language requirements. CLB7. That's in the that's on the closer to the bottom of that particular report. Here's how the report is currently laid out. And then, okay, so this slide deck is old. This is being evaluated actually. So I'm just going to delete the slide on the fly. My apologies here. Okay, so I am evaluating the 15 hours per week now. Okay, but what I'm not looking at right now are the settlement funds. I had it in a previous version of this model actually, so maybe I'll put it back. But anyways, thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And again, and again, if you're a person trying to immigrate to Canada, if you happen to watch it to the end, well, feel free to reach out and to me too, because I am setting up my practice, and I can give you an initial consultation if you like. So thank you for attention, and yeah, if since I'm providing the file for free, you can modify the code however you see fit. And thank you, and I'll see you all soon. The next video, I might do like a little capstone video of all the Ontario programs before I bring in Alberta. I'll do that one next, and so that'll be the next video I do. Don't know when I have a chance to do it, but that's the plan. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all soon.